An all-star in college to a struggling professional, this is how Skip Bayless just revealed to the world that the Chicago skyline faces the Fever's game on the encounter on June 23rd was crucial because shown the potential as well as the dangers of the Fever season began with a solid and encouraging lead first-quarter participant, Caitlin Clark, who has been considered the way forward for the franchise, first seemed to be on course for yet another outstanding performance. Her energy on the court was contagious. Very early in the match, she made many crucial perform shows that had the audience standing the more the game went on. The momentum dramatically changed. The Chicago Sky started making use of the Fever's vulnerabilities by strengthening their defenses. While concentrating on disarming Clark, they was able to reverse the trend. Clark, who is usually a prolific shooter with a lifetime mean of more than 25 points each college game, was limited to only 17. Moments throughout this game that represent the pivotal midway through the second half of the game in particular. The protection of the quarter Sky, their dual-teaming approach, compelled Clark into challenging circumstances. She was often torn between attempting to play to her teammates' strengths and seeks her own shot, resulting in many turnovers, which the Sky took advantage of, errors costing important points shifts. Clark's portrayal in the last half was especially worrisome. Renowned for her aptitude for scoring below, instead, she gave off the impression of hesitation. There have been times when she missed opportunities in favor of passing the ball, rather than this lack of clarity only have an impact on her rating, but also hampered the team's attacking progress. Clark scored 5 goals at the game's conclusion. Helps, but her influence was not very great. In contrast to her capabilities in the fourth quarter, the Sky reappeared to retrieve the triumph by a single point, 88-87. Much gratitude to Angel Reese and her capacity to inspire her group and come returning to secure the victory and close the Caitlin Clark. Come on, what did Skip do? What Biss have to say on everything Caitlin? She may not have that, however. Dog in her, therefore unsure of her skill. Recognize her aptitude for long-distance shooting, and I am certain that she has a knack for transferring the basketball. Nevertheless, I'm not sure whether she still owns that dog. He is no stranger, as we all know. Regarding the dispute, and his most recent remarks about Caitlin Clark have undoubtedly mixed the mixture throughout his performance. Claimed that Clark does not meet the excitement surrounding her announcement of college. He said that her difficulties identify a player in the WNBA who could have been overvalued from the beginning. Despite Clark's unimpressive showing, the Chicago Sky was not only in a strange evening, yet suggestive of deeper problems with her game. Biss did not hesitate to act. In discussing Clark's game, he highlighted a number of crucial areas where he feels that Clark is not up to par initially, and first, he questioned her state of mind. Resilience, she may not have that, however. Dog in her, as I begin to question whether I realize it's really early, but I'm simply stating that when I see what I begin to ponder. Yesterday, I saw Biss argue that Clark doesn't possess that dog, which means she lacks the unwavering motivation and a will to rule at the top level. He emphasized certain game situations that Clark emerged against the Sky reluctant and uncertain, especially in crucial times when the Fever was required. He also berated her for not stepping up. Clark is renowned for his reliable shooting. Her college scoring prowess, Clark's in the WNBA, shooting has been inconsistent. There has been a history of inconsistency in her early career trajectory, leading to concerns over her capacity to adjust to the more resilient defenses and quicker tempo of WNBA. Angel Reese emerged and closed the match. Finished, she locked up Clark and drove her squad to triumph, but it's still unclear why Clark didn't get up and do the necessary actions to get the victory. Also targeted Clark's defense. He emphasized that the opposition teams often target her since they are aware of this. She finds it difficult to keep up with faster highs and often finds herself outside of stance. That not only makes her team vulnerable both defensively and in terms of fouls difficulty, reducing her influence any further. On the remarks made by the game, Biss have caused a more extensive discussion of whether Caitlin Clark's collegiate career is being overhyped. Was extraordinary and full with games that score well and highlights genuine plays, but the changeover to the WNBA has shown to be a noteworthy challenge. The inquiry at hand is whether Clark is able to adjust and step up to the plate, or whether it contributed to her success in college having to contend with competitors of lower caliber. The strong emphasis and elevated standards are unquestionably important. In Clark's difficulties, each game is examined closely, and every error is amplified to this degree of there might be too much pressure, particularly for a youthful athlete still getting to know her, gaining ground in a new league. Yet some players flourish under these circumstances, others may fall apart. And it's evident that Clark finds himself in her professional life by contrasting Clark with rising talents such as Angel Reese, who has smoothly made the switch to the WNBA and is flourishing despite the additional strain. An additional level to this discussion, Reese has the capacity to manage the spotlight and provide steadily strong performances, emphasizes the difference between her present circumstances and her potential this compared. One may wonder whether Clark cultivate the mental toughness, and to succeed at this, you must be consistent. Degree when Angel arrived, she took authority. But is the too nice Caitlin Clark, she is going to be a competent individual? When the moment is right, take charge and guide her squad to triumph in the sports world's response to the result of the game, as well as fans have had various reactions to Biss' remarks. Especially those who adhered to Clark's colleges are eager to stand up for her, pointing up her potential and the difficulties nevertheless of switching to the WNBA. Some are beginning to copy the echo. Biss is raising doubts about whether Clark is as transforming a participant as first, although there is also disagreement among experts. Some others think Clark only needs longer to acclimate, and that her struggles are a normal aspect of learning curve that every rookie athlete must note that a lot of outstanding players have the same difficulties early in their professions, some of which are less confidently asserting that Clark's basic shortcomings include her defense drawbacks and patchy shooting might keep her from getting to the heights that we are all anticipating. Consequences of this loss and the surrounding dispute are important about the Indiana Fever. However, if Caitlin Clark doesn't start acting continuously, the likelihood of the Fever having a chance to make a playoff run approach has been centered on her scoring and creating plays, as well as her poor performance places more pressure from her coach and colleagues. Staff. The current discussion around Clark's potential could have an impact on team spirit. Gamers must have faith in their potential player, and if uncertainty starts to surface, it could result in a lack of unity and internal team trust. Discord may be just as harmful as any tactical blunder on the field. While we examine Caitlin Clark's most current performance and skip Biss' remarks, it's essential to take into account the function of as head coach. Christie's sides of coaching is an essential component of every player growth, effectiveness, and sides' decisions and tactics have a substantial influence on Clark's transformation. One of the primary criticisms of the WNBA, her strict attacking side coach college system. Clark prospered in a structure that gave her the opportunity to play, take chances, and provide her capacity to score. Lisa ruined her college career. Coach created an offensive scheme that worked to Mark's talents, allow her to perform well, and become a unique participant. In contrast, side system seems more organized and less adaptable, reducing Clark's capacity to be creative and improvise on the floor. During the matchup with the Chicago Skies, Clark was often seen after set plays that were not optimal. Her ability to score. Sid's insistence on using a more cautious strategy designed because Clark had less chances to take advantage of opportunities or establish a score possibilities for herself. With this tactic work for some players, but it's obvious that suppresses Clark's innate ability, which causes annoyance and poor performance. Sid's defensive tactics are also troublesome. Clark is more well known for her aggressive pressure than her ability to defend, but even with this side's knowledge, Clark in defensive positions of high press that reveal her flaws. This is not the only causes problems, but also has an impact on her self-assurance and combativeness on the offensive end. Drawing comparisons within the WNBA, successful teams exhibit a distinct variation. Groups such as the Seattle Storm and Vegas AC have coaches who modify their tactics in response to their players' advantages and create efficient changes made in game. This is one of the main factors contributing to their steady achievement and the reason for their star when athletes do well. What are your thoughts on Skip's remarks? Tell me whether you agree or disagree in the remarks.